time, we'll bring both candidates back up here and see if there's any questions from the audience. You want to ask it or you want to give it to me?
I want to ask.
You want to ask it?
Yeah.
Come here.
Oh.
We'll let you use the microphone. Thank you.
How are you guys going to help schools?
Well, I'm speaking obviously from a prejudice point of view, having been a public school teacher, and I appreciate Chris's service to the country, by the way. I served in a different way. I taught handicapped and disadvantaged children for 30 years. And how I'm going to help the schools is this. Make sure that funding for public schools is reinstated. Make sure that every child in Indiana has an opportunity for preschool and kindergarten. I want to do away with the vouchers so we can put more money in the public school districts. I think that the safety of the children is paramount. We've all witnessed horrific attacks on the children, some of them from students themselves. There needs to be tight security. There needs to be officers at all the schools. There needs to be mental health screening for all students. We need to have the teachers retrained so they could recognize problems, particularly in bullying. Schools need to be secured. Doors should have locks on them. There has to be drills. Those are unfortunate things, but we need to do that. Schools need to be secured. Thank you.
This may come as a surprise to a lot of you, but there's some of that I actually agree with. I have 3 kids. All 3 of my kids attend public schools. I have my youngest son just turned 6. My middle son is 10, and my oldest son is 12. And so we kind of span the gamut of kindergarten, elementary, and middle school right now. And these are fun times and trying times, as many as you can relate to. But I couldn't be more proud to be a father, and I couldn't be more proud, frankly, to have kids in the public school system today. So let me give you one of the facts about funding in Indiana with public schools. It's the 3rd highest in the nation. Now let me be very clear. I'm not content with that, right? I support funding our schools appropriately, and I will always support that. Again, I say my mom's a retired school teacher, and I've had many conversations regarding this topic on our couch with her, most of which we agree upon. Regarding school safety and school security, my Marine Corps background rings well in this topic. All right? I can assure you that there is a clear voice and will be a clear voice in the Indiana State Senate should I be elected regarding public safety and regarding the security of our schools, which is a topic that I feel like I'm pretty qualified to speak to. So that's a great question, sweetheart, and I thank you for asking it this evening. Thank you. Give her a round of applause, please.
Other questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'd just like to know what your all's vision is for working families. We sit with the federal minimum wage, the other ways that we've actually prohibited where the local ordinances can be passed. And also we don't have any minimum leaves and absence, paid leaves and absence. So what would y'all do to make laws at the state level productive?
Did everybody understand the question? He's asking about what were their plans with working families, particularly with wage and also with paid leaves of absence.
It would be hard for any Hoosier, or for that matter, most anyone in the United States that has a family of, say, 4, to get by on minimum wage. I would support a minimum wage in Indiana of at least $15 per hour, guaranteed maternity leave for a certain amount of time for the man and the mother. The current legislature in Indiana does not seem to be willing to increase the minimum wage to above $8 an hour. You can't live on that. You can't live on that. I would support that, and I will push for a minimum wage increase of at least $15 per hour.
So this should come as no surprise. This is a topic that Mr. Perkins and myself don't agree on, and that's okay. But I do welcome the conversation. So being a small business owner, we've got a robust economy right now across a lot of different economic factors and a lot of different sectors of work right now. Part of the reason that is because we've done away with a lot of over-regulations and a lot of mandates that cause businesses and companies to go out of business, providing these good-paying jobs. Let me share a personal story with you. I started out telling you that I'm a small business owner. I recently had my production manager, whose father became very ill very quickly. He didn't know how bad his mom was because his mom was relying on his father at the time. His father goes into the hospital. He goes to take care of his mom, and his mom right away needs to be put in assisted living, all in about a 48-hour period. Because we were in a good position as a company, I paid him to be off work for almost 6 weeks, because that's something he deserves. But I was able to do that because I wasn't mandated and over-regulated by the government. That put me in a position as a business owner to be able to afford that. Put me in a position to be able to afford that opportunity. I'll give you another example. That happened 2 weeks ago. Unfortunately, we've been stricken with some personal things at our company. But we love our team members, and I view them as family. And I believe that I do have a moral obligation as a business owner to not only be engaged in my community, but to be engaged in my team members' lives. I couldn't be more proud to tell you that I believe that I am on a lot of different levels. I've got another member who is an installer, whose dad became ill, who's out of state. He was off work for the last 9 days. I called him on the second day and I said, Brian, I want you to take care of your dad, and I don't want you to worry about work. I want you to know you've got a job when you come back, and oh, by the way, I'm going to pay you every single day that you are off. I want you to take care of your family, I want you to take care of yourself, and I want you to be with your family. And again, that was an opportunity that I was afforded as a business owner because I wasn't over-regulated and mandated that I had to go do those things. So again, that's a great question. I think there's a lot of different ways to cut it. That's my answer to that. Regarding the minimum wage, again, I don't think as small business owners we should be mandated a minimum wage. I provide very high-paying, very well-paying jobs to all of my team members. And I'm afforded that opportunity just like I was afforded to pay those folks to be off work. Because I've got the freedom to be creative as a business owner in my own business. Thank you.
Other questions? Sir? Sir?
Yeah, I hear he started a small business in the garage. But I don't understand how he got around zoning laws.
Sir, questions are only asked that can be asked of both candidates, not just one. Okay? So if you're just going after one, please sit down.
Now, as a real estate agent, as an auctioneer, I get a state license. I don't have to have an office. I don't have to have a lot. But if I want to use car dealership, I got to have a lot. I got to have an office. I've got all these state restrictions that put restrictions on the minority, and a big restriction on our court, denies us an equal opportunity in business. This has been going on for over 40 years. And throughout the state, the Bureau of Motor Vehicles require you to go through zoning before you get a state license. What can you do to get us a state license without the zoning?
Mr. Perkins.
As we are aware, zoning ordinances, plan commissions, boards of zoning appeals are all either city, town, or county oriented. State legislature, as I understand it, would have very little to say about zoning. If you would go across Silver Creek from Clark County into Floyd County, the zoning laws are all changed. And I've sat on all those boards, zoning appeals, plan commissions, and whatever in the past. Those are always tough, and I don't know, to be honest with you, if the state legislature has the authority under the state constitution to tell a county, a city, or a town what their zoning laws should be. They can regulate electrical, plumbing, and safety concerns, but not zoning, I don't believe.
I'll have a short answer too. I agree with Mr. Perkins. That's out of the jurisdiction of the state legislature. Now, what I will say is I believe as whoever's elected to this position should help get you in touch with whoever needs to be there and should help to be able to leverage relationships there and welcome that conversation. So it's a good question. It's worth talking about. Ma'am.
Well, this question, I guess I can ask it in a way that both of them, even though John has already mentioned it. If you all are elected to go to the state, will you be willing to get rid of the right to work law?
Well, the short answer is yes, and that's probably why the AFL-CIO, the teachers, the United Workers, the Teamsters, the Steel Workers, the longshoremen, all have supported my campaign. I think right to work is a travesty. I think I said that to begin with. And I would hope that one of the first bills that I get to sign on to in the state Senate would be the repeal of the right to work.
Well, again, this is something that we do disagree on. The right to work. Look, we've got one of the lowest unemployment rates in the nation. And again, I believe wholeheartedly, as a small business owner, that that's due a lot to deregulation and not over-mandating what business owners should and shouldn't do. I don't want government, just like you don't want government, involved in meddling in every single detail of your life. See, I believe that Hoosiers are smart enough to manage their own lives. And I believe Hoosier business owners are smart enough and smarter than the government to manage their companies. And that's my stance on right to work. Thank you.
Other questions? Yes, sir?
In 2016, in the election that y'all voted for, the Republicans received 57% of votes cast for Indiana State House of Representatives. But miraculously, they won 70 of the 100 seats. This is due to, you can see there's a theme. My question. This is due to gerrymandering and drawing the districts in a way that gives one party an advantage. So if either of you two are elected, what will you do to combat gerrymandering and make it to where it's a more fair system to where 57% of the state voting doesn't control 70% of the House?
Be the Senate, not the House.
Or set state, that's what I meant, state House of Representatives.
Well,
The question had to do with gerrymandering, similar to his question earlier, is what they might do to prevent gerrymandering to ensure a vote or election.
well, it's my opinion, I think facts back it up, that Chris and I had the opportunity to run for state senate in the largest, most gerrymandered district in the southern part of the state, if not the whole state of Indiana. Redistricting, and you have to remember that the party in charge in Indianapolis at this point in time, they call the shots, they draw the maps. Right now, in the House of Representatives, there are 30 Democrats, 70 Republicans. In the state Senate, there are 9 Democrats and 41 Republicans. And you know what I'm saying, he who pays the fiddler calls the tune. So I would support, and I think that most people would, an independent, how in the hell that happens, I don't know, but an independent commission, 3 and 3, 4 and 4, I don't know if you have to arm wrestle or break a tie, but I would support an independent commission to do the redistricting.
So again, my understanding on this is looked at every 10 years, and Mr. Perkins is right. The party who holds those majorities does kind of mandate that conversation. I would support a conversation looking at these district lines if that's what Hoosier voters want. But let me tell you this. I've knocked thousands of doors in District 45, and this has not came up on one Hoosier doorstep. Let me tell you what has. The drug problem, education, jobs. This is not a question I've been posed with at thousands of doorsteps one time. If it's a conversation that the voters of District 45 want to have, I've got 2 ears and I'm more than willing to listen. But if it's not going to come up, if it's not important to those Hoosiers, then I think there are more important, better ways that we can spend our assets. Thank you.
Any other questions? Any others? Okay, let's thank both our candidates for being here tonight.